Deputy Speaker, I'm commanded to lead the Government of Barbados's European Investment Bank Counter Guarantee Agreement and Standby Finance Contract, Barbados Global Gateway Nature Guarantee. I'm also commanded to lay the annual report and audited financial statements of the Needham's Point Development, Inc. and Needham's Point Holdings Limited for the year ended 31st of March, 2023.
Government notices, private members' notices, notices of questions, reports from select committees, first reading of bills.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the first reading of the Road Traffic Amendment Bill.
The question is that the first reading of the road traffic bill be read the first time. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. Methinks the ayes have it.
Okay, cool. Madam Deputy President, I beg to move that the order number 12, which is the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill, which would have been laid on the 9th of December. I would wish to replace that bill with the one dated the 16th of December, 2024.
The question is that this bill from mention be withdrawn and replaced by the one dated the 16th of December. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the first reading of the Persons with Disability, the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities Bill 2024.
Question is that the bill so mentioned be read the first time. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. He thinks the ayes have it.
Statements by ministers, congratulatory and/or obituary speeches, personal explanations, motions for leave of absence, oral replies to questions, notices of motions for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance, orders of the day.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of Standing Orders 6, 16, 18, 20, 42 subsection 5, 43, and 44 for the remainder of the day's sitting.
The question is that those standing orders so mentioned be suspended for the remainder of the day's sitting. All our members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. He thinks the ayes have it. Those standing orders now stand suspended.
Government business.
Government's business is the order of the day.
Order number 3. In the name of the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, to move the passing of a resolution that the Barbados Fiscal Framework 2024 to 2025, 2026 to 2027, and 2025 to 2026, 2027 to 2028 be debated in Parliament, and that any recommendations made in respect of the fiscal framework 2024 to 2025, 2026 to 2027, and 2025 to 2026, and 2027 to 2028 be considered by the Cabinet.
Honourable Member for Christchurch Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I intend to be quite succinct this morning, given that the Barbadians have, over the course of the last 6 years and 7 months, approximately, have seen this administration, Madam Deputy Speaker, execute very robust, a robust set of reforms on the economic front that have seen our macroeconomic fundamentals restored. But not just that those macroeconomic fundamentals have been restored, Madam Deputy Speaker, but where it matters most to people, this government has been able to respond because we have displayed fiscal discipline, which has led to business confidence as well as investor confidence improving, notwithstanding the challenges, Madam Deputy Speaker, in relation to externally driven, for the most part, which has led to an increase in the cost of living. In spite of that, we have been able to increase earnings for Barbadians over the course of these last 6 years and 7 months, Madam Deputy Speaker. And therefore, all of that put together, Barbados has shown, and Barbados' economy, and by extension its citizens, Madam Deputy Speaker, have shown resilience during a time of extreme global uncertainty. And that is the basis upon which this fiscal framework debate this morning, Madam Deputy Speaker, is focused, because it is important to appreciate that whilst we've done a lot of hard work, there is now a greater focus on our part to ensure that, as we have said from the very beginning, that the fundamentals having been restored, that we need to make sure that the recovery is as inclusive, Madam Deputy Speaker, as possible. And these are not just buzzwords. These are the things that the government has been doing, certainly over the course of this administration, across a range of areas. And therefore, it is important that we maintain and accelerate in some areas, implementation, both in the public as well as the private sector, in order to make sure that the robustness that we've seen develop in the economy, that we can see that transform and move forward in earnest. Now, there are 5 key areas that I want to focus on just very quickly, Madam Deputy Speaker, because they're all connected. You can't have one without the other. And it is important to appreciate that when we speak about the macroeconomic fundamentals, Madam Deputy Speaker, you're talking about the way you manage debt, the fiscal management, you're talking about growth in the economy, you're talking about the level of reserves. These 4 things together really matter for how individuals live their lives every day, for the quality of the public services that are delivered to citizens every day. And we've been able, over these last years, to be able to bring the things which are supposed to be up are up, and the things which were supposed to be down, Madam Deputy Speaker, those things are down. However, these key pillars, again, focus on debt stabilization, private sector and private sector growth, but more specifically, private sector export-led growth. And I'll go into more detail on that, because that is important for us to absolutely understand that Barbados' ability to maintain, if not enhance, the quality of life that we have become accustomed to. Export-led growth has to be the cornerstone of everything that we do. Social inclusion, clearly, Madam Deputy Speaker. Green economy transition, critically important, as well as digitization. And so I will touch on these areas very quickly, because it's important that these things don't happen in isolation. So let me start with the debt, because a lot has been said there. We know where the debt started, Madam Deputy Speaker, 176% of GDP when we came to office. We had to restructure, we sorted all that out. However, over the course of these last couple of years, we have been using liability management. We came here a few weeks, couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, Madam Deputy Speaker, where we did the debt swap with the IDB, as well as the European Investment Bank, and as I said then, in also collaboration with the GCF, Green Climate Fund, to be able to help us construct a new tertiary treatment plant at the South Coast. Why is this important, Madam Deputy Speaker? Because we all know the history of that project, but more importantly, as this government has sought to right size and to ensure that in us being able to manage our water resources, that the use of liability management and the way that we manage our debt, Madam Deputy Speaker, taking advantage of the fact that we have restored the macroeconomic fundamentals, the market is much more confident to allow us to divert monies that we would normally pay in debt to finance the South Coast plant. And that is critically important because it means, Madam Deputy Speaker, that Bajans don't have to see more taxes being levied in order to construct that particular facility. And therefore, when we are talking about the access to water, how the BWA is going to reform itself internally to be able to better manage the responses to Barbadians, we are doing these things to ensure that ultimately that there's water going through the pipes to every household in Barbados, and everybody who wants to start a business, that they have access to water, Madam Deputy Speaker, because all of that adds to business and investor confidence, Madam Deputy Speaker. And therefore, we will continue to focus on this area strategically to create as much fiscal space as we can to be able to address critical issues. And as I indicated a few weeks ago, now that we have executed the transaction for the debt for climate swap, Barbados will, during the course of 2025, Madam Deputy Speaker, we will be looking at other parts of the debt portfolio to look to see how we can create a debt for social swap. Because as I mentioned, one of the critical pillars of this medium-term strategy is social inclusion. And therefore, as this government has demonstrated over the course of the last 6.5 years, we have committed ourselves to repairing the damage that was done by the last administration, leaving almost everybody behind, including young people, old people, persons with disabilities, you name it, Madam Deputy Speaker. We have redoubled our efforts under very strange circumstances because we understood, Madam Deputy Speaker, that you needed to ensure that in all of the restructuring, in everything that we were doing, that the people who were most vulnerable among us, Madam Deputy Speaker, that those people were taken care of first. And we committed resources. During COVID, we advanced those resources, Madam Deputy Speaker, to ensure that Barbadians will not fall further than they had to because the government had embarked on a very strong program. So next year, 2025, we will be looking at constructing a debt for social swap where we will be advancing more monies into education, into health, into citizen security, as well as housing, Madam Deputy Speaker, in order to make sure that we can touch the very things that matter for the ordinary Bajan and the things that will be critical for the strategic direction of this country. So we are going to be looking at further transactions within the debt space to create more fiscal space to do more for Barbadians next year, Madam Deputy Speaker. 2, private sector export-led growth. Now, this is a very, perhaps a vague term, but this government, Madam Deputy Speaker, have created an environment where we are now seeing my honourable member, who is to my right, has done a wonderful job in terms of, as well as following from his predecessors, certainly in being able to have not just airlift, because I don't think is just predicated on that, but Barbados set itself a very clear mission, Madam Deputy Speaker, to be able to double the passengers through the airport in the shortest possible time. We've embarked on a very clear strategy around what is required to support that. We've identified that we want Barbados to be a logistics hub, both at the airport and the seaport, to be able to do more business, more trade, and therefore focusing on how Barbadians can participate in that space. Alongside with that, we've seen in greater investment, Madam Deputy Speaker, in hotels and villas, and I know we had a debate last week on these things. You're seeing a proliferation of ordinary Barbadians doing renovations and investing to be able to get on Airbnb and Expedia and these types of things, Madam Deputy Speaker. So when we talk about export-led growth, it is from the biggest project to someone in Ashford, Madam Deputy Speaker, who has a nice little land up your side and decided that they're going to do a small investment to be able to utilize the virtual platforms that are available so that they too can participate in this economy and this export-led growth. Because if ordinary Barbadians are doing these things, Madam Deputy Speaker, along with the investment that we're doing with the International Food Center from the manufacturing side, we're doing some work with the food terminal under the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the processing capacity and our ability to export is there. And therefore, our strategy and focus has been, how do we expand that space? So it's not just about big-time investors coming into Barbados and putting up big hotels, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is we being able to focus and ensure that we can unlock the resources that we have within the sector, within the economy, in order to drive growth. Anybody who wants to just set up shop and import something and market up and sell into the space, then all you are doing is limiting yourself to the few thousand people who may, over the course of a year, patronize your business. What we are putting the mechanism in place now, and the clear policy, is that when we talk about a global economic environment, even though there's uncertainty, Madam Deputy Speaker, Barbadian products, Barbadian goods, Barbadian services must be capable of being exported, and that is where we are seeing a lot of effort. Let me just also say very quickly, Madam Deputy Speaker, that in this particular space, as it says here, and there's a lot of focus on the micro, small and medium-sized enterprise sector. Just yesterday, Madam Deputy Speaker, I met with the Chief Scalability Officer, I think that's the title, of IDB Lab. IDB Lab, Madam Deputy Speaker, is an entity that focuses on, through venture capital as well as grants and other loans and other structures, will work alongside Barbadian companies, small companies, Madam Deputy Speaker, small companies, to help these companies get their products out to the rest of the world. And therefore, as we complete the process with respect to the replenishment of the fourth cycle to participate in this, I'm saying to Barbadian businesses, if you have to partner with somebody from Colombia, or partner with somebody from Mexico, or partner with somebody from Brazil or Argentina, then we have to do that in order to achieve the right scale, in order to be able to get our businesses to a position where we can get stuff done. 100% of zero, Madam Deputy Speaker, is zero. And therefore, as we seek to encourage persons who want to grow their businesses, you can grow your business in Barbados, but that growth, Madam Deputy Speaker, is relatively finite. And therefore, as is the case, we are seeing Bajans, and I say this without, I don't take any particular pride in saying this, Madam Deputy Speaker, but too many Bajans are taking up their hard-earned money and putting in to get rich, quick, these schemes. Only after a few days or weeks, people disappearing on them, left, right, and center. And all I'm saying to the public, Madam Deputy Speaker, if you put your money in businesses that you know, we're through the work that we're doing with the African Exim Bank to connect the region and Africa to do more trade. So it means that somebody got to be selling something somewhere, Madam Deputy Speaker. So if you can take up your money and put it in something, at least know that somebody that you know, and this is somebody you know, I mean a reputable company in Barbados, selling something, that you will get that rate of return, because a rate of return, nobody gets 100% rate of return on anything, Madam Deputy Speaker, 200% rate of return, and far less you don't get that in 3 or 4 days, not even a week. Global businesses, Madam Deputy Speaker, if you get a 15% profit margin is decent, 20%, 25% is great, but nobody, Madam Deputy Speaker, in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month, does get 100% profit margin. It does not work. And therefore, we are saying to Barbadians, I am urging Barbadians that please, in 2025, let us put these schemes and scams and all of this thing behind us, and let us focus on tangible investment into business. Slow and steady wins the race, Madam Deputy Speaker. My grandmother told me that from time it is small. And therefore, we have to have the patience to be able to make the right investment decisions. And I'm saying to Barbadians, as the government is facilitating private sector-led export-led growth, that this is how you're going to take the money that you got in the bank or wherever your credit union or wherever you have it, and to make that money work for you. And therefore, whether it is in the tourism sector or otherwise, then we have to make sure that we make these opportunities available to Barbadians. And therefore, as we modernize our public infrastructure, we know that with our investment as the government, that business will come alongside and make investments because there's accessibility. And therefore, the two will go together to be able to help us to be able to drive that. And let me just say this very quickly, Madam Deputy Speaker, because as you know, this government, having put a lot of time, effort in training and providing opportunities for Bajans to be able to upskill. In the next 18 months to 2 years, when all the construction and everything's starting to cool off a little bit, Madam Deputy Speaker, you can get a whole set of jobs within the tourism sector. So if you are not employed now in Barbados, Madam Deputy Speaker, and you've not availed yourself of some type of training, either with the Construction Gateway or any of the other programs that we've put out there, there are opportunities now to get trained and to be prepared to be trained to move into the jobs that will be coming in the tourism sector, Madam Deputy Speaker. Again, so whilst there isn't a job available for everybody now, the reality is that there will be jobs available, and we will continue to work right across the board. Yes, to encourage people to do their own business and to do those things, but jobs will be available in 18 months to 2 years in large numbers as more jobs, I should say, more jobs within these sectors. So therefore,